Hey guys, I'm Hidari, I'm a musician, and today I want to show you guys how I made a music video on a budget for my cover of Blood Moon by Tim Henson.
Starting off, find a cheap location. Now, obviously, if you want to keep costs low, then being able to film in a place that is free is a good start. And to find such a place, asking your friends and family is probably a good idea. For me, it even came with a couple benefits, such as having less time constraints, being able to pop in whenever, and it was generally a lower bar to entry.
Now, of course, it might feel a little bit cringe or uneasy at first asking your parents or family or friends. It definitely did for me, but honestly, they are probably the people that will want to help you out anyways.
However,
Before asking people, make sure to prepare a little bit, do some research, figure out what kind of atmosphere you'd like, what kind of vibe you're going for.
and what locations would fit that. By all means, copy ideas from music videos that you enjoy a lot. Like for example, I took inspiration from a couple videos, like Playing God by Polyphia and the Tim Henson Archetype Showcase. So I wanted to capture something similar, especially because I tailored the cover to be a bit more classy with the piano and all.
So my first thought was, oh yeah, let's try and do that where there is a piano.
This is big brain time.
Once you've then got your idea, your basic requirements, and some reference material,
Especially your friends or family, whoever, will probably be able to help you out a little bit better.
point being that the better your idea is and the more you can explain it, the easier it is for others to help you out. And having said that, the second thing I did was to gather a crew. A one-man crew, but a crew nonetheless.
Now, I happen to have my lovely friend Peter over here, a lovely, beautiful guy. And next to being like a very good friend, obviously, Peter also happens to be a professional cameraman. He does it for his job, his day job, which really helped me out a great deal when making this music video. And I actually hit him up on Discord. I was like, yo, I have this idea. I want to make a music video. Would you like to help out?
I did actually offer to at least pay him something for his help, but he did not want that at all, and was more than happy to help out. He did not even let me cover his travel expenses, and I was barely able to convince him to let me pay for his pizza at the end of the day. Now, apart from that, I only had to give him my credit card details and sign my human rights away, such that I am now legally in service of my Lord Pete. Jokes aside though, having a friend help you out is pretty beneficial when you're poor. I mean, when the goal is to keep costs low.
Peter also gets to add the video to his portfolio, which is the main way of like compensating him for the time and effort he puts in.
Especially for people that want to get into the filming business. A portfolio acts as a way to showcase experience when it comes to filming and video making. It allows someone to then market their skills as a service to others. In that way, a portfolio ad is valuable and can be an alternative to straight up payment, or lower the price when you do decide to hire someone to film for you. Now,
I'm not gonna beat around the bush though that having a good friend that happens to be professional at filming
is sweet as fuck. Nonetheless,
you know, even if you don't have a Peter or like a good friend that's wanting to help you out, like
you can still do a lot of prep and research before shooting a video to at least get the basics down for filming and save yourself stress while actually filming.
for example, one of the things that Peter actually suggested to me was to do some storyboarding. I mean, I had heard of it, but I'd never really done it, and I didn't really exactly know what it was. But basically, it means that you draw the scenes that you want to shoot out, and especially for like a music video where you have like kind of a concept or an idea that you're basing it off. It can really help to visualize your positioning and stuff. And like, I mean, you'll probably not be able to see very much right here. But yeah, like I had specific kind of like scenes in mind, and I drew them all out. Like I divided it into like the intro scene with different shots, like an intro part, then the main part with different positionings. And because I drawed it out and like visualized it and did it scene by scene the way it was in my head, Peter was able to give me some feedback and be like, oh yeah, but we can try this as well. Or maybe from his experience, he could tell like, yeah, those shots are kind of like difficult to make, or they don't have that big of an impact. And it served as a really great guideline. Now obviously, like Peter being experienced is a massive benefactor here, but even if you don't have that, you can still draw it out, give it to a friend, get them to give some feedback, like their ideas, like see if you can bounce off it a little bit, and it will probably get you like more creative as well. Of course, storyboarding is just an example, but there's many tutorials on YouTube and like probably TikTok, and you might even find them on Instagram and whatever, that will help you out to kind of get some basics down, get some ideas going, really find out some like small things that you can do to prepare well. And trust me, preparing well, even though you don't see it immediately, it will massively benefit you, and like it saves you so much time and decision making during the actual shoot. It'll make you more relaxed, it'll save you a lot of time, and especially if you're renting out like a spot to film, or if you're asking people to help you that want something in return, like if you're hiring someone to film for you, that'll save you a lot of money too. And obviously like you'll learn a lot. So yeah, get the basics down, get a bit of a feel for it, you know, have an idea of what your setup is going to be, what the angle is going to be. For example, just, you know, forget the lighting. I forgot the lighting, very short, just to kind of get the idea. This video is really turning into a shit show, isn't it? Where was I again? Oh yeah, preparation, kids. If done well, it saves you stress, time, and money. Alright, that brings us to number 3, which is equipment. Obviously, you're gonna need something to film with. This is gonna be impossible to make a video if you don't at least have a camera of some sorts to, you know, film yourself doing, or like playing your music. Now, obviously, most phone cameras probably will do the trick for you, especially if you can do some editing after, or if you have like a decent phone camera, like, or phone, I mean, they will largely cut it. But if you're a cheapskate like me, with like a shitty, you know, phone from China, that won't cut it probably. And now obviously, Peter, being a cameraman, has a good camera, like, wow, shocking. Which really helped me out because that meant that we could just shoot the video like in high quality. I'm starting to realize that, you know, having a very good friend that is a professional is kind of, you know, the way to how to keep it cheap. But I promise you that's not the only way to keep things on a low budget. For example, if Peter weren't available or wasn't interested in helping me out, then I would have just asked my dad. Like, he has a very good, like, high-end, pretty new phone, which would have done the trick. Now, next to the camera, like, you'll probably need some other like small things. Like, obviously you need to bring your instruments or, you know, that kind of stuff. Don't be like me, don't forget the lighting. Now, I did bring some lighting. I brought the Philips Hue bars that you can kind of see behind me, like light up the room a little bit. I brought some tape in order to mark some stuff. You don't need that much. You can just cleverly use some household tools probably that you have laying around. And yeah, those small things, together with any camera, will get you well on your way without busting the bank. So I procrastinated for 5 months to do this video and to edit it, and then I realized that my recordings weren't that good. I went on vacation to Japan for 2 weeks, came back and was like, well, shit, we gotta redo that part. So let's go. Now, I decided to edit everything myself, as you can see right here. And I had a couple of reasons for doing so. Namely, like, I really wanted to edit it myself. As simple as that, really. But I also kind of wanted to learn the basics of video editing and to figure out my preferred style of videos, what I liked, you know, kind of explore a little bit. And then thirdly, I really had no intention of spending any money on outsourcing. The benefit, of course, being that the only investment is time, really, is my own time. And it rewarded me with, you know, some new skills. It wasn't even too bad to actually learn the basics. There are like tons of tutorials to get you started. For example, you can see here. However, it would be unfair to not mention that editing can be very tedious and time consuming. Like heck, there's a reason why this video is not out yet, and it's like June 29th right now. Well, I actually plan to release this the 4th of May, for example. So yeah, if there's anything you would want to spend some money on, then I'd say like outsource your editing. Get someone else to do it, either fully or in part. It will speed up the process quite a lot for like releasing stuff. And you'll be able to spend that time on doing other things that you enjoy, like actually making the music, or spending time with family, with friends, or doing a side hustle, you know, whatever you want to do. Lastly, I want to cover a couple of mistakes that I made. First obvious mistake I made was not learning all the parts. I mean, the guitar parts I did, but the piano parts I kind of slacked off on, and that's because I don't have a keyboard around here. in my apartment, so it's a little harder to kind of practice that kind of stuff, and I didn't just want to, you know, go to my parents every time to kind of practice, especially not in my spare time, because I just work a full-time job on the side, and I know that was lower on the priority list, because I thought, oh, it'll be easy. Well, it wasn't that easy. The part is a little bit tricky, especially if you don't play that much. And yeah, that kind of tripped us up a little bit. It took us quite a lot of time to work around it, to film in a way that is kind of masking the fact that I don't know how to play all the parts. Second obvious mistake I made was not learning enough about lighting. At the moment I'm holding a ring light, which kind of helps, you know, illuminate my face and make everything a bit more clear. But on set, like, even though Peter and I talked about it beforehand, we kind of completely fumbled and goofed. I was kind of naive to think that the lighting in the room would be enough, especially because there's a lot of lights in that room. But I know now that normal lighting that people use, especially warmer lighting, is actually not that great to shoot a video, especially when you're trying to get like a proper high quality video out. It was so dumb because Peter even would have been able to bring a couple of lights like from his work. So yeah, it was just kind of, yeah, just a brain fart. You know, smooth brain people like me forget those kind of things. The last thing that was kind of dumb to forget, or actually in hindsight was kind of dumb, is not marking specific things on the piano, especially when we're developing the idea of placing the pick and doing some kind of logo stuff in there. Turns out that if you have a very shiny surface or a lacquered surface or anything like that, editing software really cannot deal that well with tracking. So if you want to do any effects or overlays or blending and stuff like that, and you want to, you know, kind of keyframe it, basically if you want to use a scene or, you know, a part of the video which has those kind of objects in it, and you want to do, you know, fancy transitioning or effects, yeah, mark that shit so the software is able to keep track and not go completely bananas. Now, the bottom line is that all of these mistakes simply made the process a little bit, you know, longer, a bit more tedious. I mean, obviously it was kind of fun to figure out, like, oh shit, we fucked up, whoops. But yeah, there are definitely things that for the next time I want to not make the same mistakes again, because it will just save me a lot of time and hassle, both while filming and when actually editing. Alright, so now you know how I did it. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought, if it was helpful, if things are unclear, and you know, just let me know if you want to borrow Peter for a couple days for your own video, because apparently that's how to do it on a budget. Jokes aside, I'm always happy to answer any questions, and I mean, Peter will probably also be able to answer a couple of things if you want. With that said, like if you like the video, and subscribe for more. Alright, bye-bye!